There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know.
There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more fires burning, they will find their way to me. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. Mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know. There are more mountains falling, they will find their way to me. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. I will wade through the waters when they find their way to me. We will wade through the water, way to me. We will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. We will wade through the waters, this I know.
I will walk through the fire, this I know, this I know. I will walk through the fire, this I know. I will walk through the fire when they find their way to me. I will walk through the fire, this I know, this I know. I will walk through the fire, this I know.
I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know.
I will rebuild the mountains when they find their way to me.
I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know.
There are more waters rising everywhere on this planet of ours, and they will find their way to us.
And there are more fires burning. And yes, they will find their way to us as well.
Someday, we will have to wade our way through those waters and walk our way through those fires to rebuild the mountains that have fallen.
But we can't do that alone. And besides, we know that we are stronger together.
That is the reason we are building a beloved community at First Church that includes everyone who comes through these open doors.
By ourselves, we do not have the wherewithal or the understanding to face the challenges that will be thrown in our direction in the years to come.
We need all our collective wisdom and gifts to find answers to problems we have created through our own wasteful and destructive society.
In this beloved community, we need the survival skills and the wisdom of people who have suffered the injustices of our world, for they have managed to maintain their humanity, and they have dared to dream of a better world without exclusion, without discrimination.
That is why we recognize and honor the indigenous ancestors who lived on this land before us. They can teach us much.
And that is why we welcome anyone who wants to come through these doors and through these digital portals.
That is why we make First Church welcoming to everyone's need by having gender-neutral, accessible restrooms on our second floor.
And that is why we welcome the children into our sanctuary and provide listening devices for those who need them.
We are stronger together, and that is why we constantly remind ourselves that when we say everyone, we mean everyone. If you would like to learn more about this community and this work, please contact us at member-care@firstuu.com. So as we light the chalice today, let us rejoice in the beauty of our beloved community and a world community that meets the needs of everyone who lives on this planet. Now that we've lit the chalice and begun this worship service, let us turn and greet our neighbors. When you hear the singing bowl, you will know it is time to sing our vision song.
Good morning, Tom. Good. How are you? I see Myra has turkeys.
Hello. Today I want to tell you a story about how the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC, began. It all started over 80 years ago when Unitarians in the United States were watching what was happening in Europe, and they were getting very worried. They were worried because a man named Hitler and the people he was leading, called the Nazis, were becoming very powerful and hurting a lot of people. The Nazis believed some very mean and wrong things. They believed the only people who were any good were people who were just like them. They wanted everyone to be the same as they were, and if you weren't, well, they would kick you out of your house, they would take all of your things, they wouldn't let you work, and eventually, they started killing people who they thought were different from them. Jewish people, gay people, people with disabilities, all of them were targets of the Nazis during this time. It was very scary. What do you think you would do if you saw something like this happening? Would you want to help? Would people in your UU community want to help too? It was the same over 80 years ago. The Unitarians wanted to help people in Europe who were being targeted by the Nazis. So, a Unitarian minister and his wife from Wellesley, Massachusetts, Waitstill and Martha Sharp, went to Europe to see how they could help people there. They found lots of ways to help when they got there, but they had to be creative because the Nazis were always watching, and it would be dangerous if they got caught. The Sharps helped get the paperwork people needed to escape to safer places. Sometimes they would even sneak people past guards wearing disguises. They also helped people, including kids like you, get food and clothing in a time when it was very hard to find both. The Sharps were very brave, but they didn't do this work alone. They worked with people in the Jewish communities in Europe. They worked with other Unitarians in the United States who sent them money and other supplies so more people could be helped. That is how the Unitarian Service Committee, now called UUSC, got started. Today, UUSC still works around the world to help people who are being treated badly find safety and have their human rights respected. We work with migrant communities who fled their homes in Central America and are seeking asylum in the United States. We work with Rohingya Muslims in Burma who are facing inhumane treatment and displacement by their government. We work with people around the world whose home communities are threatened by climate change, and many more. Both back then and today, UUs come together through the UU Service Committee to work with people who need it most. And we will continue to be there to help in the future, because Unitarian Universalists believe in doing what we can to make the world a better and safer place for everyone. Thank you for the ways you help us do this work. We couldn't do it without everyone joining together. Thank you for listening to this story.
This is a time when we think about the joys and concerns that are in our hearts. We use stones to represent our joys and sorrows.
The water represents the love of our community. When we drop stones in, it is comforting us with our sorrow, and it is amplifying our joys.
All the individual joys and sorrows come together in one bowl of water so they can be symbolically shared and borne by us as a beloved community.
And now we invite you to come up from the sides, drop your stones in the water to amplify your joys and comfort your sorrows as we join in a community ritual.
drop 3 more stones into our water of community.
1 stone will be for the joys and sorrows that have gone unspoken in this moment.
And a 2nd stone for those joys and sorrows that go unspoken, that we have closely guarded in our hearts.
And lastly, a stone for the brokenness of our world as we search for ways to heal and make us all whole. And now we're going to sing our children off to religious education.
Lovely flowers this morning are a gift from Mary Marks and David Johnson. They are a colorful reminder to everyone to vote. Thanks, Mary and David. And the November beneficiary of Share the Plate is Guest at Your Table. It's a program run by the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, which we just heard about in the video. And it's a long-held tradition here at First Church and at UU churches across America. It's an enjoyable and rewarding intergenerational experience. You can plan your family meals to include discussions of people in need who will benefit from your monetary donations. So they are the guests and guests at your table. This project raises support for and awareness about key human rights issues. There are thousands of individuals worldwide who benefit from the money contributed by members of First Church and other UU congregations. And this colorful box is from the UUSC. It can be set on your family's dining table during the months of November and December. It's a reminder of your figurative guests at your table and also a receptacle for your donations. So it's, again, intergenerational, gives us something to talk about at the dinner table. I'll have these available in the lobby, or you can just download them from the UUSC website. The 2022 theme for Guest at Your Table is Hope, Courage, Action. They've chosen 4 leaders and partners from the UUSC and that were described in the video a minute ago, but in summary, their targeted activities are climate justice, helping people who are fleeing from Ukraine, helping people who are recently released from U.S. immigration detention centers, and also the Karen Peace Support Network for ethnic minorities in Burma. You can hear their stories on videos and learn more about the UUSC at their website, which is uusc.org. Giving at First Church is easy. Please make checks payable to First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati and write UUSC in the memo line. Or you can go on our online system, Breeze, at any time and pay there with a credit card or some other methods. Thank you.
us imprisoned. Circle for release. Circle for the planet. Circle for each soul. For the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
Good morning. This song, Circle Round for Freedom, closes with, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole. In this time of rising waters and raging fires, the prospect of keeping the circle whole so that our children and grandchildren can continue the sacred task seems a whole lot more difficult and overwhelming than it once did. As Ramona and I indicated in our opening today, eventually those waters and fires will reach all of us, even those among us who live in extreme comfort. For the past 80 plus years, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee has been working to empower people all over the world so that it might be possible to keep that circle whole. Our Story for All Ages described how the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC, started as a human rights service organization during World War II. Recognizing a need, they helped the people who were targeted for extermination by the fascist movements of Europe. They were trying to escape that persecution. Communists, socialists, Jews, the Romani people, LGBTQIA people, the disabled, and all people of color were targeted for removal and erasure. It was a heroic effort, and it brought world attention to this tiny human rights service organization from an equally tiny religious organization, the Unitarian. As Unitarians merged with Universalism, the service organization bearing their names changed as well. Working for human rights around the world is a complicated task, and it requires great sensitivity and wisdom to not do more harm than good. What the UUSC learned was that real service to others entailed empowering and honoring other people by partnering in ways that followed and supported their leadership, not by taking leadership and telling people what to do. Arriving with ready-made solutions for other people's problems smacked of elitism and colonialism. And the UUSC had to learn that the hard way. Coming out of their world of white supremacy, they thought they had the answers, but they didn't. They had to learn the hard way when they saw failure after failure, when their efforts were exposed for what they were. Those solutions never solved problems, and they often led to total disempowerment of the people that the service organizations throughout thought that they were going to help. And that's a common theme that has developed over many other religious organizations who sought to do mission work, who sought to do service work to help and uplift other people. They forgot that the mission was empowerment. And in fact, what they were doing was empowering themselves. Now, the following 2-minute video that you're going to see here describes how the UUSC has partnered with a youth-led climate action network in Rwanda. Here is Ineza Umahosa Grace from Kigali, Rwanda, describing her work.
I was born and raised in Rwanda. During my lifetime, our temperature has increased far more than the global average. This was not driven by us. People in the least developed country, like mine, emit 35 times less carbon than those in high-income countries. Rwandans rely heavily on the land, and we are used to coping with the long rainy season and the challenge of our mountainous landscape. But climate change is making things worse, and we are being pushed beyond our ability to adapt. Rain, erode soil, and kill livestock. Land degradation affects the whole community, displacing thousands. My family had a small and cozy home, but like so many others, had to live with just their clothes and bags, forced to move to a communal house. The last period of intense rainfall lasted for 5 months. It destroyed roads and health centers, leading to over 130 deaths. These damages are profound. These losses are irreversible. Climate change disproportionately affects rural girls and women. Daily tasks such as collecting water and cooking wood are made increasingly difficult by droughts and floods that wash away agricultural income, leaving them with nothing. Youth-led climate action can bring these stories of loss and damage that go unseen and unheard to the fore.
We have the power and the knowledge to develop solutions, but we need the right financial support. Our call is for developed countries of the world to listen and to act.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
Yes, we need to keep the circle whole. Ineza is a beautiful young woman who is coming into her own power. She has received financial support for her and her organization, the Youth-Led Climate Action Network, from the UUSC. I watched a longer video of Ineza explaining how the UUSC support was so much different than other organizations. The UUSC never required mountains of forms and applications filled with specific funding criteria, like so many philanthropic organizations. This is a different kind of philanthropy. It's an empowerment philanthropy. The UUSC simply asked Ineza, "What do you want to do with this money?" She patiently explained to them, and the UUSC responded. This UUSC money has opened the door to other funders, and now her youth-led climate action network is speaking to the entire world because someone had faith in her ability and her personal power to move mountains and to build mountains. This model of philanthropy and service is rooted in the UUSC mission, which affirms the inherent worth and power of all people. The UUSC believes in the power of people's autonomy to make decisions about their own lives and the ways in which they choose to live. They partner with grassroots organizations who are working diligently to solve their own problems and build their own communities in a way in which they decide not somebody from the outside. In rural Missouri, the UUSC is funding community and union organizing efforts among immigrant meatpacking workers who are treated like slaves, working long hours for amazingly low wages. In Louisiana, the UUSC has partnered with the Lowlander Center and the Legal Justice Coalition, who advocate for coastal communities who are threatened by the forced displacement of climate change. The UUSC financial support they have represented these communities to the Biden administration to establish fair and just guidelines for how climate displacement will take place in Louisiana. They knew what the solution to their problems were. All they needed was the support to empower themselves, and that's what the UUSC was able to do. In Burma, the UUSC has partnered with human rights advocates to speak out against the genocide the Myanmar military government is perpetrating against the country's ethnic minorities. In Nicaragua, the UUSC supports a women's agricultural cooperative that is working on sustainable farming that stops deforestation of the rainforest. Unitarian Universalists working in the United States would have never found those kinds of solutions to those problems had they not stopped to ask, had they not said, you have the power, you understand your problems, you just need assistance in doing that. In this next short video, Ian Zadanovitz of the Queer Detainee Empowerment Project in New York City explains what they are doing with the support of the UUSC. It's amazing.
Hi, my name is Ian Zadanovitz, and I'm one of the co-directors of Queer Detainee Empowerment Project, and I coordinate Direct Services Program. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about solidarity in times of crisis and what does it mean for our organization. At Queer Detainee Empowerment Project, solidarity and mutual care are one of the core values. We put a lot of effort in creating space for our members who are LGBTQ folks directly impacted by immigration system, where they feel that they belong and that they have agency and power to rebuild their lives and communities once they come to New York City. Solidarity means to us various things, from daily peer support, where members support each other during hard emotional situations like court hearings, loss of someone that they loved, to transphobic or homophobic violence, writing letters to our members who are still in detention, as well as during happy moments, moments of victory, when they got released and are messaging us from outside, when they finally received their work permit or won their asylum, or just when they share daily messages on our WhatsApp group saying, "Good morning, hope you all are going to have a great day," and they are sharing a funny meme. Those big and small signs of solidarity are so important from our perspective because we come from communities that went and are still going through a lot of violence, discrimination, and hurt. And for our members, a lot of days still feel like crisis. One of QDEP's hope is that through those daily acts of solidarity and mutual care, we can rebuild trust in other people and create a community that will have each other backs no matter what is happening. We are inspired by prison abolition movement, transformative justice movement, and work of Black feminists like Angela Davis, Bell Hooks, or Audre Lorde that search for tools and ways to build strong and solid movements and communities that are accountable, honest, and loving. Solidarity for us is also a sort of communal healing, a daily practice of empathy, patience, listening, and learning. Daily practice of failing to understand each other but not giving up and trying again and again. Solidarity means showing up for a hard discussion after a conflict has occurred in a group, to clarify our words and intentions, and to try to repair the hurt that was caused so we can move on together without leaving anyone behind. QDEP members come from very different political and cultural contexts, as various geographical regions such as Central and South Americas, Caribbeans, West Africa, and Asia. They also come from all parts of the LGBTQ community. It is our political choice and commitment to radical inclusivity not to create any requirements regarding language that the person must speak to join QDEP, or specific gender identity or sexuality. To be able to be in solidarity with each other in this setup, we need also to understand each other on the very basic level. We need to understand the words that have been spoken. That requires language accessibility and language justice approach. Translation and interpretation provided at any time so our members can understand each other. QDEP puts a lot of work into making all our messages, meetings, and events accessible in English, Spanish, and French, languages that our current members speak. Within our direct services program, we are also building this year a new program called Peer Support Program. The idea of this program came from our members who organically and spontaneously started helping new members who needed accompaniment to go to their medical or legal appointments, needed help to navigate NYC subway system that is very, very complicated, or just needed some advice or emotional support during their first weeks in a new city. QDEP is currently working on creating curriculum for a series of workshops that can be useful for the peer supporters while they're helping new members. We want to make sure that supporters are supported while they are helping new folks. We will also have a standing monthly meeting for the supporters where they will be able to share their questions, dilemmas, and process collectively complicated feelings that might appear while working with new members who went through similar traumas and violence. We wanted to thank UUSC for their continued support to our organization and your faith in our mission. Since 2017, you have been helping QDEP to carry out our work and programming that is so vital for our members in the process of rebuilding their lives in a new country and in fighting for a better future without ICE, detention system, and without criminalization of our communities. Our work wouldn't be possible without supporters like you. Thank you so much for it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
You can see how Ian and the Queer Detainee Empowerment Project are keeping people whole. LGBTQIA people around the world are suffering horrible discrimination and horrible repression and horrible violence. It's even true in our own country, and the work that they are doing in New York City is actually turning lives around. When we contribute to the UUSC, we are helping to make their world whole. It's so easy for all of us who live relative lives of privilege to throw up our hands in despair at the immensity of injustice in the world. And then we say, we don't have enough power to impact positive change. We're just isolated where we are in our lives. But you know, that's not true. The UUSC grassroots activist partners demonstrate more power than we could ever imagine on our own. They are the ones who are wading through the rising waters right now. The UUSC is funding a project in Fiji that is doing exactly that. In Fiji, the waters are rising, and there are islands in the Pacific that are disappearing because of global warming. And a project in Fiji where one of the islands has some mountainous terrain, they know that they're not going to go underwater because they have those mountains. They are preparing spaces for people who will lose their island homes. And the UUSC is funding that. These are the people who walk through the raging fires. And they are the ones who are rebuilding the mountains. When we talk about the guest at your table, we must realize that the UUSC and those of us who contribute to it are truly the guests at the table. We are the guests of the table of the people who are making the change. We are being given the opportunity and the immense privilege to participate in the empowerment of people who face injustice every day of their lives. What a privilege. These are the people who will change the world. We can learn so much from them, and we can be a part of that change because we contribute to the UUSC. There are over 50 UUSC partnering projects around the world, and all of that is made possible by local congregations and individuals like all of us, contributing once a year or as monthly sustainers. And if you think that you can do that, to be a monthly sustainer, I would urge you to do that because it does make a difference. The UUA doesn't provide any funding for the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. It comes from people like us. So please consider how you would like the world to change and who you would like to do that with.
Circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned. Circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
For our closing hymn, we're going to sing Answering the Call of Love, found on page 1014 in the Teal hymnal. We will have the lyrics up on the screen because we've changed them from standing on the side of love to answering the call of love. Because there is a call for love, and what we need to do is answer that call. So let us join in singing that. You can rise.
We are circling round for freedom because we are answering the call of love. And now we will extinguish the chalice by repeating the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
This afternoon after church, so even if you didn't remember, there's a place at the table for you. Please join us.